right on time on our path to making sustainable mobility accessible for everyone. The Enyaq IV, making me look forward to what's ahead.
Water is pure energy. When you go through the rapids, you don't think about the equipment, you simply trust it.
A symphony of forms adding up to one holistic experience. Creating emotion. Light. Space. Texture. Shape. Color. Movement.
Dear media guests, a very warm welcome to Skoda Auto's 2022 annual press conference. Before I get to the agenda, I would like to show you the two vehicles we have with us today. On my left, you can see the Skoda Enyaq Coupe RS IV, our first all-electric car in the sporty RS range. And on my right side, we have the brand new Fabia Monte Carlo. It points to the brand's many successes at the legendary rally. And now let me briefly introduce to you the participants of today's press conference. We will start with the presentation of our CEO, Thomas Schäfer, who will first summarize the highlights of the challenging past year and later give you an outlook on 2022. Afterwards, our CFO, Christian Schenk, will give you an analysis of the figures, followed by Martin Jahn, our board member for sales and marketing. Martin will give you the details regarding markets, vehicle segments, and a preview of the brand's further development. Marin Gräf, our board member for people and culture, and Carsten Schnake, board member for purchasing, will be also available to answer your questions at the end of the press conference. Dear guests, as usual, you will be able to submit your questions to the board members. We have prepared two options for this. You can submit your questions in the Slido window, which you can find on the right side of the live stream site. Alternatively, you can use the QR code shown here in the live stream or send the questions directly to media@skoda-auto.cz. You can send your questions in Czech, English or German. And now I'll hand over to Skoda Auto's CEO, Thomas Schäfer. Thomas, stage is yours.
Dear guests, dear friends of the Skoda brand, I would also like to welcome you to Skoda Auto's annual press conference this year. It's difficult to express in words what has happened in the past weeks. We are dismayed by the war in the Ukraine, and we hope for a cessation of hostilities and a return to diplomacy following international law. The first thought you have when you see a disaster like this is about the people. We are very concerned for those in Ukraine, especially the families of our more than 600 Ukrainian colleagues working here in the Czech Republic. The same applies to the team of our contract manufacturer Eurocar, as well as the several thousand colleagues at our local suppliers in the Ukraine. We are fully aware the humanitarian crisis will last probably for a very long time. Therefore, we have taken specific support measures in collaboration with our social partner Kovo as first humanitarian steps. Many more will follow. As the Skoda brand, we have donated over 20 million Czech crowns to various aid organizations and humanitarian causes. We are helping to transport aid from the Czech Republic to Ukraine via Skoda Logistics. More than 10 fully loaded trucks have been delivered already, and more are to come. Furthermore, we are providing cars to the Czech aid organizations to support them in delivering the material donations. Over 270,000 Ukrainian refugees have already arrived in the Czech Republic. We are doing our best to support them locally, always in collaboration with the communities, like, for example, the town of Mladá Boleslav. Our help comes from the heart and it's planned strategically. We are helping directly with everyday necessities as well as handling the situation from a long-term perspective with an integration at the fore. I'm very proud of a local school we have helped to establish 2 weeks ago. Now, over 600 children and adults are attending Czech language classes every day. We also want to support them in healthcare, finding jobs and housing, and becoming part of our community. Thank you to our colleagues in External Affairs, People and Culture, the Skoda Endowment Fund, the Skoda Academy, and thanks also to our social partner Kovo, as well as all the volunteers for their very practical and sustainable support. We are in daily contact with our colleagues on the ground in Ukraine. Keeping them safe is our top priority. As far as our business in Russia is concerned, we have also taken swift action. Volkswagen Group has decided to halt the production of vehicles in Russia until further notice, and we are analyzing the situation. Dear guests, although the situation in the Ukraine is distressing, let us nevertheless take a brief look at the previous fiscal year. 2021 was the second year of the crisis for us all. A state of emergency that has left its mark not only economically, but also on us personally. The New York Times described the prevailing feeling of 2021 as languishing, referring to a term coined by the American sociologist Corey Keyes. It's a sense of stagnation and emptiness. It feels like you're looking at your life through a fogged-up windscreen. After 2 years of lockdowns, quarantine and isolation, I think everyone knows how that feels. I find it all the more remarkable that we have steered Skoda Auto well through these languishing times despite all the challenges. 2021 was another year marked by the coronavirus pandemic. The most effective countermeasure has been our successful vaccination campaign. We are going to continue pursuing this. I would like to take the opportunity today to thank our anti-COVID team for their excellent work and the strong collaboration with our social partner Kovo. Apart from the pandemic, the semiconductor shortage has also kept us on our toes. The shortage affected many sectors, such as the consumer electronics and the automotive industry, due to an unfortunate combination of factors. According to estimates, the semiconductor shortage cost our industry around 200 billion euros. At Skoda, we lost more than 280,000 cars in 2021 as a result, and we temporarily stopped our production lines and had to put our workforce on short-time work. Nevertheless, we tried to build as many cars as possible, and we managed it well from an economic perspective. More on that in a moment. Our board member for purchasing, Carsten Schnarke, and his team pulled many all-nighters to find clever and often very creative solutions, not only for Skoda, but also for the entire Volkswagen Group. I really thank them wholeheartedly for their dedication. What started out as a semiconductor task force is now being continued through the group under the name Compass, so that the supply of parts can be secured over the long term and any severe bottlenecks can be prevented in the future. The fantastic work of the task force and Kovo's support have enabled us to safeguard employment for all Skodians. I would like to thank Jaroslav Povšík, Chairman of Corvo Union, and the entire team for their trusting cooperation. This shows how important it is to stand united on the same side in times like these and to ensure a clear view ahead. Dear guests, our corporate results reflect these challenging times, but they are also a measure of our resilience, our strong will, and our perseverance. A look at the most important key figures now shows us what this means specifically. As always, we distinguish between Skoda Auto AS and the Skoda Auto Group in the results. Christian Schenk will go into this in more detail in a moment. The sales figures I'm mentioning refer to the Skoda brand and the financial numbers to the Skoda Auto Group. We delivered a total of 878,200 vehicles in 2021. Due to the coronavirus pandemic and the semiconductor shortage, this was 12.6% less than last year. Martin Jahn will give you the specific figures in a moment. Skoda also achieved an operating profit of 1,083 million euros in 2021. Under the circumstances, this is a great success. We mainly earned the money in the first half of the year before the semiconductor shortage hit us hard. Our return on sales is a solid 6.1%. For a volume manufacturer, this is a very respectable result. We were able to save most of our vehicles affected by the semiconductor shortage by storing and then retrofitting them. This was a courageous decision that enabled us to deliver the vehicles we thought we would lose. Our focus here was on value, not on volume. Despite all the difficulties, we safely steered the company through the second crisis year. I would like to thank the entire team for this great achievement. A huge thanks to our dealers in the markets for their tireless efforts, our suppliers, and our partners for their high degree of flexibility, and our customers for their trust in our brand. Dear guests, the opposite of languishing, which the New York Times described as the dominant feeling of 2021, is flourishing, the feeling of floating. Forgetting time because you are so focused on your projects and achieving great results. And when we look back together on the highlights of last year, one thing becomes clear. Skoda Auto was very much in the flow in 2021. So as you can see, we had a lot going on in 2021. Among other things, we presented our new next level Skoda strategy 2030. This strategy will make Skoda even more international, electrified, and digital, and thus fit in for this decade. We quickly adapted the strategy to the respective departments, and we have already achieved some initial successes. Let's start with electric mobility. In 2021, the number of new registrations of all electric cars in Europe increased by 80% compared to 2020. In December, more electric cars were registered than diesel for the first time. With our Enyaq iV, we launched the right product at the right time, enabling us to celebrate strong results. So far, we have received over 115,000 orders for our first all-electric Skoda SUV, and we have delivered more than 50,000 of them worldwide. Even Pope Francis took a ride in one during a visit to Slovakia. Judging by the photo, it made a very good impression on him. Martin Jahn will explain in a moment what markets the Enyaq iV has performed particularly well in. In terms of electromobility, this was just the beginning. We have at least 3 more all-electric models below the Enyaq iV in the pipeline, and we are consistently pursuing our path towards electrification. Our goal is to increase the share of Skoda brand sales in Europe to 50 to 70% by 2030. We expect a strong, well-timed boost from our new highly emotive Enyaq Coupe RS-iV. These goals will future-proof the brand and jobs in the long term and strengthen Skoda's homeland as an automotive powerhouse. Dear guests, we aim to transform the Czech Republic into an e-mobility hub. This includes localizing e-components and battery production, focusing on renewable energies, and expanding the charging infrastructure. Our goal is to transform the entire value chain into a circular economy and operate with CO2 neutral energy. In doing so, we'll be advancing a key component of our corporate strategy, sustainability. The important thing is, we walk our talk, and this applies to all areas of the company. The average emission value of all our models delivered in 2021 was 3 grams per kilometer below the limit set by the European Union. We have the largest fleet of all-electric company vehicles in the Czech Republic, and we have doubled the number of our charging stations in the past year. In production in the Czech Republic, we managed to save 11,000 tons of CO2. That's as much as 7,000 commuters' cars emit each year. In addition, we were able to reduce our water consumption in production by more than a third and increase the proportion of recycled water by almost 50%. While we're on the topic of recycling, our customers have the option of choosing seat covers for the Enyaq iV that are largely made from recycled PET bottles. And we became a smoke-free company last year. For me, this is also a sustainable decision that above all has a social component. By adopting this approach, we are a true trendsetter in corporate Czech Republic, and we have received high praise from many sides for our leading role in this regard. To help us make even more progress in sustainability in the future, we became the first Czech company to establish an external sustainability council. The 5 renowned international experts are providing us with valuable impetus and new perspectives on how to fully unlock Škoda's potential. One thing is clear, sustainability is not a fig leaf for us, but a rock-solid business case. Same is true for digitalization. We are focusing on digital services that bring our customers real added value. We call it Simply Clever 2.0. If you drive an Enyaq iV, you can charge it easily and conveniently with our Power Pass at more than 290,000 charging stations in Europe. We are also using artificial intelligence, for example, with our City Move app, which was downloaded 230,000 times last year. And to promote the training of IT specialists, we have co-founded the Training Institute 42 Prague. Starting this summer, up to 450 future programmers will begin preparing for the job of the future here without tuition fees. Dear guests, what else was going on at Škoda in 2021? In addition to our Enyaq iV variants, we introduced new models such as the Fabia and our refreshed SUVs Karoq and Kodiaq. They have been very well received by our customers. This is not only reflected in the strong sales figures, but also in the many prestigious awards we have won last year. More about that from Martin Jahn in a moment. But safe to say, the list is long. The trophy shelf at our headquarters will really need to be extended soon. We're delighted about this, all these international appreciations, and see it as confirmation that Škoda is an affordable, yet desirable and emotive brand with unique designs, excellent quality, and the convincing brand values of simplifying, human, and surprising. Characteristics that are the best prerequisites for our goal of being one of the top 5 car manufacturers in the EU by 2030. Dear guests, Škoda is also on course for success outside Europe, for example in India. With the Škoda Kushaq, Škoda Slavia, the Volkswagen Taygun, and the recently introduced Volkswagen Virtus, we have successfully put the India 2.0 project on the road. Thanks to a localization rate of over 95%, these models meet the need of our customers in India perfectly. Our sales figures in the region have more than doubled since then, with nearly 35,000 incoming orders for the Kushaq and the recently launched Slavia. But it's not just in terms of regions that Skoda is taking on important tasks within the Volkswagen Group. With the MQB A0 global platform, we have had global responsibility for a group platform for the first time since last year. A great honor for our engineers. And we are also well underway with the developing of the successor to the Skoda Superb and Volkswagen Passat. It's a good example of the incredible synergy potential offered by Volkswagen Group that we are now leveraging together. Dear guests, in summary, we achieved a lot in 2021, even in languishing times. With our new corporate strategy, we have a clear plan for this decade. We have made significant progress in electrification, sustainability, and diversity. And we have strengthened our importance in our regions and within the Volkswagen Group. Dear guests, Skoda is in a solid position and on its way to a flourishing future. And now we are ready for the next stage. We are taking a big leap this year to make the brand even more modern. What does that mean specifically? Among other things, we are rolling out a new design language. We have called it Modern Solid. Why are we doing this? Because our customers' requirements are changing rapidly. We want to align ourselves even more closely with their lifestyles. In doing so, we are guided by our corporate vision. We will help the world live smarter. I can assure you there'll be a real wow moment, both for our customers and for our competition. Martin Jahn will tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. Dear guests, for now, I'd like to hand over to our CFO, Christian Schenk, who will give you an overview of our financial figures. See you again in a few minutes. Thanks, Christian.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, good morning, dobrý den, and a very warm welcome. Over the next few minutes, I will be presenting our financial statements and key figures for 2021, as well as an outlook on the current year. On the background of the current war described by Thomas in the Ukraine, all figures seem to be irrelevant. My thoughts are with those which suffer at the moment. But before we come to the financial situation of the company, let me introduce myself, as this is my first conference as CFO of Skoda Auto. I'm 48, married, with 2 daughters and a dog. I began my career at Volkswagen in Wolfsburg in 1999. I held various management positions in the Volkswagen Group, both abroad in France and the UK, as well as in different positions at the brand Volkswagen in Wolfsburg. In the end, heading up the controlling of the brand VW passenger cars. After my time as the CFO of MAN Truck and Bus in Munich, I joined Skoda as a board member for finance and IT in October last year. I'm looking forward to raising Skoda to the described next level in these challenging times of transformation and crisis. Skoda has proven with the figures that I will show you now that its business model is robust, and with solid financial figures, we are able to face severe crisis. The team has stood together and react quickly, which is key in times of crisis. Let's start by looking at the revenues in 21 and how they developed quarter by quarter. We can divide the year into 2 very different halves. The first half was dominated by the restart after 2020 year of COVID-19. Our incoming orders were developing positively. The first 2 quarters were promising with stable sales revenue of about 5 billion euros per quarter. Despite the health restrictions due to the ongoing COVID-19 situation, production was running almost smoothly. The second half, unfortunately, we couldn't keep up the pace of the first half due to a shortage of material for production, especially semiconductors. We had to halt production, which had a direct impact on our sales figures and sales revenues, especially in Q3. I arrived on the 1st of October, so fourth quarter, we started to improve, but were still affected by shortages. Our sales revenues recovered slightly in the fourth quarter against the background of continuing high demand, as well as the ongoing shortage of semiconductors. Order books are therefore at record levels. We do our utmost to reduce delivery times to our customers, but Martin Jahn will further elaborate this point later on. You can see a similar development of the profit figures over 2021 as for the sales revenue. In the first half, you can see a similar picture as with the revenue. A solid start translated into high operating profits and a solid return on sales. We actually achieved with an ROS of 8%, a level at or even above the target level of our next level Skoda Strategy 2030. The second half, we experienced tough setbacks in the third quarter with several weeks of production stops at our plants due to the lack of parts. As I explained earlier, the production shutdown and loss of sales revenue could not be fully compensated, which is why we made a loss of 75 million euros in quarter three. Nevertheless, we could close the fourth quarter with a positive 4.1 ROS because of intensive crisis management. Dear ladies and gentlemen, after looking at the two halves of 2021, let me show you the final score for the whole of 2021 and also compare it to 2020. While sales revenues increased by 4%, we improved operating profit by even more, 43%. Hereby, our return on sales increased by 1.7 percentage points to 6.1%. Let me show you how we turned the headwinds into a positive development of the brand compared to 2020. We improved our operating profit by 43% to 1,083 million, which is a strong result in the volume segment under these circumstances. We had to overcome the following headwinds. Firstly, production stops due to part shortages, especially semiconductors, which also incurred idle time costs at our factories, where we continued to pay our workforce also during production shutdowns. Second, a decline in sales was a consequence of the production losses, with high order banks coming up because of demand for our great products, as you can see here, remained very high. And thirdly, increasing material costs for aluminum, nickel, rhodium, or copper, in particular, inflation in general rising after the COVID shock in 2020. Our countermeasures. Besides the positive effects from foreign exchange rates, the following countermeasures were more than compensating for those headwinds. Firstly, price mix improvements. In terms of mix, we shifted our focus to higher margin countries. We also revised prices and sales support. Secondly, the Enyaq iV, our first all-electric vehicle, got off a great start. It helped us to outperform the EU CO2 targets, enabling us to avoid any fees for non-compliance in 2020. Compared to our conventional vehicles, margins for Enyaq iV were also very promising. In total, we sold 80,915 BEV or PHEV hybrid vehicles in Europe, which is a great step towards our realization of our sustainability vision, as explained by Thomas earlier. Thirdly, our effective cost management in all areas led to increased profitability. A huge thank you to all our employees, our dealerships, our suppliers, our customers, also our union Skoda, for their great work and collaboration in 2021. It was challenging, but they overcame every difficulty with calm, focus, and straightforwardness. I have worked in many teams in my career, but from the board level down, Skoda has a highly professional team and an outstanding team spirit. Especially in times of crisis, we can achieve great results as a team. So to summarize 2021, I show the key figures of our financial year. You can see that Skoda fought bravely in all areas, despite the critical supply chain issues. Deliveries dropped by nearly 13% to 878,000 cars. My colleague Martin Jahn will give you more details on the deliveries later on. Despite the drop in sales, we were able to increase revenues by 4% due to pricing and a better sales mix. I already explained in detail the development of the operating profit and our increased profitability. Earnings after tax amounted to 876 million euros, mainly due to the increased operating profit. Our positive net cash flow of 545 million euros showed that the Skoda Auto Group remains on track financially. Despite the crisis and the supply chain interruptions, we managed to finance investment programs from our funds. Overall, Skoda is in solid shape despite the difficult circumstances. Also, the performance was solid. I'd like to put the results in a broader context by comparing the financial figures to the pre-COVID-19 times. In 2021, we indeed had a better operating result in areas than in the previous year. But compared to the last normal year before COVID, sales were still 10% down on 2019. Operating profit was even 35% lower, which means that our return on sales has dropped by 2.3 percentage points due to the issues in the second half of 2021 that I mentioned earlier. Thanks to our effective countermeasures, we effectively managed our cost, as you can see on the next slide. Let's take a look at our 2021 investments and research and development costs. We invested a total of 782 million euros, which is 4.4% of our turnover, which is 543 million euros or 40% less in 2019 and a slight decrease on 2020. Despite the reduction due to COVID-19 and semiconductor crisis, important investments were made for the future. Out of the 782 million euros, an increasing share goes into e-technology and digitalization, as well as in our regional expansion with India at its peak. Skoda in India is in the lead for the entire Volkswagen Group. Within 1 year, we launched in India 4 new developed vehicles, of which 2 under the brand Skoda, and another 2 we developed and launched for our sister Volkswagen in order to increase our footprint in this strategically important market. With regards to R&D, the total R&D of 825 million euros, which is 4.6 percentage point of turnover, was well below 2019 levels, but an increase of 130 million or 16% million euros over 2020. Also here, the share of BEV vehicles is steadily increasing with various new models in the pipeline. Our investment spending aligns with our next level Skoda Strategy 2030, which aims to make Skoda more digital and sustainable and expand in the regions, for example, in India. Investment in the future also means to put ESG high on the agenda, environment, social and governance. We will steer investment clearly into the improvement of the relevant KPIs. With the right mindset and prioritization, Skoda is well prepared to steer through the crisis, and we make further investment in the crucial future topics of our industry. We'll now take one last look at 2021 from the perspective of Skoda Auto AS as a Czech company without our subsidiaries. Figures can be seen in more detail in our annual report. This report is prepared in accordance with IFRS standards and published online. You can find all the details there, so I will just highlight the key point. The increase in operating profit on the group level, as explained earlier, is identical to the one of Skoda Auto AS, 26.2 billion Czech crowns, which means an increase of 51%. The reasons for this development are similar to my earlier explanation with regards to the improvement in sales and administrative costs, which enhance the profitability on top of the positive effects from foreign exchange. The financial figures demonstrate that Skoda Auto AS is a healthy and steady company, which is an important prerequisite for the future, especially in these challenging times of multiple crises and the transformation of our industry. Looking ahead, we have to expect that the last 2 years of crisis management will continue for the car industry as well as for society in general. COVID-19 and its impact on the supply chain, for example, semiconductors, had to be managed over the past 2 years. Also, this will continue in 2022. We expect the situation regarding semiconductors to ease in the second half of the year. But the war in Ukraine will have, besides the severe humanitarian and political consequences, additional heavy impacts on our business. It is still too early to predict all the effects on the supply chain, the material cost, and general economic consequences. But what will we do at Skoda? Besides continuing on our next level strategy, which sets the right lines for the future, we need to further increase our cost measures. The key here will be on keeping the future in mind, but cutting costs wisely at the same time. We need to combine our strengths and work together even more closely to get through the times of crisis and transformation. Next level efficiency program plus. So several cost-oriented programs used to run in parallel in the past. This is the reason we decided to combine our cost and efficiency programs into one and increase the ambition level. It's our simply clever approach to streamlining our internal processes and to realizing our ambitious cost targets quicker. Measures from industry benchmarks are included into the program. All the cost savings measures are consolidated into 4 work packages as flows. The first is maximizing revenue potential. This involves improving business, digital products, services, after-sales business, and new sales models. The second is revolutionizing material cost, which involves radical and profitable standardization, reducing complexity, and adding only customer-relevant and value-generating items. The third is optimizing production cost. This includes assembly and design to production concepts. And finally, the fourth is optimizing fixed costs and processes. As I mentioned earlier, we are very strong in terms of cost discipline. However, we believe there's still potential, and we speed up our processes. Some elements of our crisis management have to be used for future normal processes. Under pressure, a lot of creativity came to life and needs to be safeguarded for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, Skoda is a strong brand. Under these difficult circumstances, 2021 was a successful year for Skoda because of the team's strong crisis management. We will continue to improve the robustness of our successful business model and build resilience by our continuous hard work on cost and efficiency. We will use the experience we gained from managing crisis. And we will continue to shape our transformation and generate new profit pools during our transformation process of becoming a sustainable and digital company. Thank you very much for your attention. Now, Martin Jahn, the board member from sales, will present you the details on our sales topics and regional priorities. So, Martin, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Christian. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and let me now continue in my mother language, Czech. My name is Martin Jahn, and I'm member of the board of Skoda Auto for sales and marketing. Just like Thomas Schäfer and Christian Schenk, at the beginning I would like to say that, of course, what we especially wish is that the war in Ukraine stops immediately and we make many steps to support our Ukrainian employees and also Ukrainian refugees who come to the regions where we have our manufacturing plants. And let me now focus on the results of the previous year. Due to the ongoing pandemic and a shortage of selected components, especially chips, new car sales slowed their growth and even declined in some markets in 2021. However, this in no way slowed down Skoda employees or our partners in our markets. Thanks to an excellent team, we were able to deliver the highest possible number of cars in 2021. At the same time, we succeeded in making progress in a crucial part of the company's transformation, the development of an electric car ecosystem, and the strategic growth of the brand. In total, we delivered more than 878,000 cars to customers on 3 continents around the world. Despite the component shortage, we did well in 2021 compared to many other car brands. In Europe, Skoda remains to be the 8th best-selling automotive brand, and in India we were able to double our sales results. Taking a look at Europe, the smallest drop took place in its western part, which is also one of our most important strategic markets. We optimized the mix of offered cars, and in most cases we continued to hold our relative position in the market. On the right side you can see the strategically important markets for which Skoda is responsible within the Volkswagen Group: Russia, North Africa and India. The most encouraging development is happening in India, but also in North Africa, which recorded significant growth. Taking a look at our individual models, Octavia continues to be our bestseller and confirms this with more than 200,000 units sold, followed by 2 SUVs, Kamiq and Karoq. The popularity of SUVs is on the rise and they represent 50% of total sales in 2021. The Fabia generational change brought in 100,000 cars sold, and our top-of-the-line Kodiaq and Superb
premium models also scored very good results and are popular with customers who place high demands on comfort and design. And Enyaq, our first fully electric car, surpassed all of our expectations and sold out immediately after its market launch. Let me go back for a moment to the market where we are doing especially well, which is India. In parallel to the dramatic increase in sales, which I have mentioned, we were also able to stabilize and expand the dealer network. All of this has been possible thanks to our new and tailored approach to the way we design cars, which specifically target the needs of our customers in India. The first result is the Kushaq SUV, a car designed as a Skoda, which has been adapted to Indian customers, including its pricing. At the end of last year, we expanded the Indian lineup with the Slavia model, which will address more traditional customers. And we believe that the Skoda brand will continue to succeed in India. For us, the year 2021 was literally electrifying. I must say that we at Skoda were thrilled with the great response received by the Enyaq AV. We received tens of thousands of binding orders even before its launch, and the Enyaq AV actually continues to be sold out until today. It has become the best-selling electric car in the Netherlands. It is exceptionally successful in the tough German market and in Norway, which has the largest share of electric cars on the road. We are also very happy about the number of awards it has received from customers, industry organizations and the press. My personal favorite is the Red Dot Design Award, but I must also mention the Electric Car of the Year Award from the UK What Car magazine. And I must not forget also the Automotor Sport, which has declared the Enyaq to be the best imported compact SUV. Enyaq has become the most popular car in Switzerland, and we also take great pride in the Car of the Year award received in Finland. As part of our new Next Level strategy and our vision to help the world live smarter, we are working on creating a digital ecosystem which will encompass two important values of our brand: simply clever and human touch. For us, electric mobility doesn't end when we launch new electric cars. Their owners expect to have access to user-friendly applications linked to their cars. Even today, our customers can use various services such as the Enyaq IV configurator on social media or the range calculator, which has been specifically designed because we know that range elicits the greatest number of questions with respect to the switch to e-mobility. And the range calculator takes all driving condition variables into consideration. Furthermore, the My Skoda app mobile app, which gives customers full-time information on their car and can be used, for example, to configure interior heating settings or to activate charging. A comprehensive home wallbox charging system is available, or customers can use the PowerPass cards at chargers located throughout Europe. We aim to develop an easy-to-navigate and intuitive user environment for electric car owners in order to make their everyday interaction with the car as pleasant as possible. And let's now look at the new models which we will be introducing and launching this year. The new Fabia Monte Carlo, a very popular customer lifestyle version with a sporty edge. Karoq, the brand's third best-selling model, will receive a new facelift. And our biggest pride, Enyaq Coupe IV, which has attracted a huge amount of attention at its recent premiere, and I personally consider it to be the most handsome electric car on the market. And another surprise for the second half of the year, Enyaq Coupe RS. As I have already mentioned, the popular Fabia Monte Carlo version is now especially stylish. The innovated Karoq and its Sportline version will offer modern design touches as well as interesting and practical equipment, an ideal car for a young family. Our electric car family will be expanded by the elegant and dynamic Enyaq IV Coupe and also the most powerful Skoda in history, the Coupe IV RS. But it's not just design and technological advancements which will enrich Skoda this year. As noted already by Thomas Schäfer, the Skoda Auto brand is in for innovation. Our new next level strategy and the overall transformation demands a comprehensive design overhaul, not only with regard to products, but also the whole brand. Modern Solid is the new direction for the Skoda brand. This shift represents the most dramatic change for Skoda since it became a part of the Volkswagen Group. We will newly define our purpose, positioning and customer groups, which will shape our new brand design and design language, as well as brand communication. This revolutionary approach will prepare Skoda for a new digital and electric mobility era. As you can see, in spite of the difficult times, we are focusing not only on flexibly managing car deliveries, but also on preparing strategies for steering the brand and guiding its customer perception. We will introduce additional details on the new design of the brand in the second half of this year, and I'm convinced that Skoda Auto will be even more successful with its modern solid strategy than before. Thank you very much for your attention.
Dear guests, before we get to our questions, let's take a quick look ahead. As many as you know, I will be leading the Volkswagen brand from 1st July. At the same time, as a member of the Group Board of Management, I will assume responsibility for the brand group volume. This comprises Volkswagen, Skoda, Seat, Cupra, and Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles. On April 1, I'll take charge of Volkswagen brand's operating business, but I will be continuing to lead the Skoda Auto brand until my successor is appointed. Even though the current times are extremely difficult, I'm convinced that Skoda Auto will benefit from the strong foundation we have managed to secure over the past year. And thanks to our next level Skoda Strategy 2030, we have set the direction for the new decade. We laid the groundwork for at least 3 more all-electric vehicles below the Enyaq iV. We will create space for 150,000 additional units available from the end of 2025, thanks to the transferring of the Superb to the Volkswagen plant in Bratislava, among other measures. We made tangible progress in becoming more digital, for example, with the PowerPass Simply Clever 2.0, so to say. And we successfully implemented our India 2.0 project that now serves as a blueprint for other emerging markets. We have taken over more responsibility for the group, not only within the regions, but also for the MQB A0 platform. We made visible progress in the fields of sustainability, diversity, and cultural change. And we are about to launch a new design language that will be a huge wow moment for both our customers and competitors. Dear guests, when I made my first public appearance as Skoda CEO, I said Skoda has huge potential. In the past 18 months, we have shown what we are capable of. And now we are going further. We haven't fully unleashed our potential yet. We have a lot on our agenda, and we will deliver. And now, let's get to our questions. Team.
Thomas, thanks. So, we're getting a few tables. May I invite the colleagues? Yeah.
Thank you.
Super. So, wonderful. So, let's not lose time. What is the current situation in the production plants in Russia? Is it developing in any way? Thomas.
All production is halted. We've got 2 facilities where we make vehicles in Russia. One is in Kaluga. It's fully owned by the Volkswagen Group, and one is in Nizhny Novgorod. But both are dormant at the moment. No production.
Hobbygo is amazing. Any plans to continue, support it? Is it successful? Anytime car sharing is alone in Prague on the market, any plans to compete with it on per minute car sharing with Skoda cars? Martin, please.
Yeah. We are very happy about the development of Hopigo. We are planning to roll out this peer-to-peer car sharing platform to other countries, especially in Central and Eastern Europe. And I'm sure it's a good addition of Skoda as a human touch brand. In addition to this, we want to also develop our application Click, which allows for community or corporate car sharing with our electric vehicles. A specific project for car sharing in Prague we are not planning at the moment. We will focus on Hopigo and Click. We also have a smaller project, Unique Way, for car sharing among students at the university, which we also do because we think it's also a good addition of human touch in the university environment.
Yeah. Are you going to focus first on plug-in hybrids due to rising cost of raw materials, or continue going just towards fully electric?
Well, maybe let me try. Plug-in hybrids are a very expensive way of bringing down CO2 and consumption, because you technically have two systems in the car. We are focusing on the one side fully on our electrification of the brand, but at the same time, obviously, as you can see with the Fabia, we managed with clever ways and ingenuity in the design, drag coefficient plus super efficient small engines, even a better way than hybridization. So we're very happy with what we have. We have plug-in hybrids in the Kodiaq and in the Superb and Octavia, no? But we're not planning to roll this out in a bigger way.
Will Skoda come up with an all-electric Octavia?
Yeah,
good question.
Yeah, I hope so. No, we're working on it, of course. A little bit early to say, but the Skoda Octavia, specifically the Combi, is part of our core of our brand, and you can rest assured that bringing this brand into the next level and next decade will require electrification of all these models.
Additional question to BEV future is: will there be a city SUV fully electric in the next future?
Martin, you want to?
Yes, Thomas showed that we will have at least 3 more models of electric cars in the near future. I think a smaller city BEV car is one of them, and I think we will be bringing cars that are suited for the new mobility. We are not thinking really about electrifying the current model of Octavia and putting the battery in the car as it is. We are trying to develop cars that will just fit the new era of the electric and digital mobility. So we will be bringing cars that will replace the current portfolio, but that will be more fit to the future.
Mr. Schäfer, can you please comment the situation about your successor as a new Skoda CEO?
No. We are not quite finished with the selection process. There's obviously a very diligent and intense process to make sure that this brand is led into the future by the most suitable person. We were hoping to conclude it before the press conference. We unfortunately haven't finished this, but I can assure you it's happening in due course, assuming in the next two weeks there'll be a name on the table. Sorry about that.
Has production of the Enyaq restarted? If not, when will it start again?
Yes, I think you know that the production of the Enyaq is depending on wire harnesses we are getting from the Ukraine, so we have to stop it a couple of weeks ago. But I can tell you that first of all, we are staying with our partners in the Ukraine, and we are respecting what they are doing for our company. And our partner and the people from our partner in the Ukraine decided to restart the production of wire harnesses this week with full service and full security for the workers there. On the second side, we decided to double the production in case something is going wrong. And this production will be ramped up in an alternative factory from calendar week 16 on. So in roughly 3 up to 4 weeks, we are restarting on an alternative place with this wire harness. And this week, our partner and the people, and with our deepest respect, restarted the work also in the Ukraine. and we are fully support this. And we are staying to them, we are staying to our partners, so we are hopefully can restart the production of the Enyaq 1 or 2 weeks later when we have the wire harnesses here in our factory. Thank you.
When will Skoda announce the building of a battery gigafactory in the Czech Republic for electric vehicles? How big will it be, and where will they source lithium or other raw materials?
So Skoda Auto is working very closely with the Ministry of Industry and Trade and other government bodies and ministries to find a suitable location for this gigafactory in the Czech Republic and to finalize the package of government incentives. The final decision about the location of the gigafactory will be done by Volkswagen Group, and they will also decide on the timing and location. So all other questions have to be directed to Volkswagen Group. We just want to make sure that Czech Republic offers the best package for this project.
Yeah, we are there in competition with neighboring countries, no? Fair to say. So may the best one win. We of course want Czech Republic to win, but yeah, decision taken by Volkswagen Group.
Can you please tell us something about the tariff negotiations? Maybe comment the results, Maren, please.
Yes, of course. Thank you for the question. So, as you may know, we had our first round of tariff bargaining in the autumn of the last year and the second one at the beginning of this year. And we finished our agreement in February. So now we have an agreement till the 31st of 2026, including a wage agreement, and this will be end at the 1st of April in 2023. And to give you some outcomes of this agreement, so we have increased the tariff salary all over with 5%, and we gave some variable bonus, some one-time payment, and some cafeteria points. So at all, in total, we are with 8% increase.
Maren, thanks. Any plans to make some last hooray ICE VRS cars with a bit more punch before we go all EV? I think it's a nice question.
It's emotional. Huh?
I would say so.
I don't think we're going to make specific models towards the end of what when we're transforming into electric mobility. I personally think you have a hell of a punch when you take the Enyaq RS IV Coupe. This is more than enough. I personally don't know why we would need to do this in the ICE world, and our focus is now on transforming our company and the vehicles into the future. That takes all our attention, I can assure you.
Each OEM needs a strong and reliable supplier base. Given the current circumstances, inflation, health situation, force majeures, and so on, isn't it the time arriving to switch our strategy from globalization back to localization to provide more stability, independence on the price level? Maybe Carsten?
First of all, coming to a strong and reliable supplier base, I have to say, especially when you're looking back in the last couple of weeks and also in the last couple of months due to Corona and due to the issues about semiconductor shortage affected by Corona, we have it. And this is my big thank and also my deepest respect to our partners outside which are supporting us here at Skoda Auto in this way. And in our factories where we are, in the countries where we are producing, like as Thomas pointed out, in India, we have more than 90% of localization rate, the same here in Europe. And we should not forget Ukraine is part of Europe. I think this is also important for us. We are producing this here and with the deep respect to our people there, which are working on with us and still going on with the production. So I think we have it, but we have to improve it. And what is more important for us, especially about sustainability for the future, that we are getting with our partners and with this partnership to circular economy, local oriented, circular and sustainable. And on this, Skoda is working.
Thanks, Carsten. There's another huge decrease in your sales in China. What do you plan to do about this?
So in China, we were mostly hit by the chip shortage and the chip allocation, which resulted in this decrease. We will see how the situation develops in this year.
The Octavia Pro, great new models on the start, so we'll see.
Can you make a deal to add old and new Skoda sports cars to Forza Horizon 5? So there's a gaming fan in.
I think we can take it as a suggestion.
I would take it. We take it as a task. Okay, good.
That's about the financing.
We depend upon oil and electricity. Any plans to develop hydrogen cars or to adapt engines to synthetic fuel types? Audi has already tried to do this and so on. So, question on that?
No, I'd say very clearly that is not our game. There's nothing more reasonable than battery electric driving. Hydrogen in small and affordable or any kind of passenger cars is not feasible. The fuel, e-fuels require, it's possible, but it requires a lot of energy, even over and above that. So the energy summary is well negative against normal battery electric driving. So this is not an option we are pursuing at Skoda.
And maybe to add on one hand side, I said that I'm quite happy with the margins we earn today on BEV cars, and that has something to do with pricing, but also with our cost. So we see a lot of investment going into this area, not only in China and the US, also in Europe, and that brings big scale. And I think the Volkswagen Group, with running MEB at the forefront, has really proven that this technology has really this huge scale. So we need to improve the infrastructure, especially here in Eastern Europe. I think that's something to move. We talked about pushing ICE. I can tell you, I drive this car. There's no more acceleration possible. So that's fun. It's cost, it's price. And to be honest, we can't invest in 15 different technologies. So we also have to focus. So my clear way is to go BEV here in the future.
Thanks. Are you going to reduce staff due to the current issues, Corona, semiconductors, stops of production?
Yeah, I'm going to pick it up.
No, there are no thoughts about that.
Good, clear answer, super. Let's move to the chip technology. Can we eliminate, decrease the number of chips in our cars? For example, about 1,500 in Enyaq. I mean, it's a lot.
First of all, I would say the number of chips we are using in our cars depending on two major topics. One topic is that we have to fulfill regulations and we have to fulfill safety obligations for our cars. So for this we need more sensors, more cameras and all these things which are important for the safety and for the future regulations we have in the traffic. The other issue is that we have comfort features and features which are oriented to our customers, for which we are working, and to them we are listening. So this more or less gives us a number of electronic components and also with that the number of semiconductors in the car. What we are doing, and I think Thomas shown this at the beginning, with a cross-operational team together with our colleagues from the development and together with our colleagues from the sales department, we are trying to get more high-power semiconductors in the cars in the future for our upcoming models, reduce the number of the semiconductors, and then with dedicated partners in the semiconductor industry, develop this design and bring this design especially for our brand, for our group, to the cars. On this we are working with the project Compass. It's not only to save the situation today, it's also to make the future in our cars and to save also these components in the future cars of Skoda in the future for our customers. So on this we are working.
How many cars do you estimate you can produce this year?
Good question. This is a crystal ball, I would say. Excuse me. With everything that's going on, a bit too early to say, really. We're hoping that semiconductor shortage will pick up in the second half of the year. We're also hoping that there's no prolonged conflict in the Ukraine and that this is coming back to diplomacy and not what's happening at the moment. So both factors make it a little bit uncertain of what the number really is going to look like.
And nowadays you don't know which crisis comes next, to be honest. Yeah. So it's really not predictable. Who of us would have imagined 3 years ago that we were running through a pandemic, maybe only movies? Yeah. Who of us would ever have thought we have a war in Europe? Maybe no one. So we really have to manage for the next months and look out and build our robustness, as we said earlier.
But I can assure you that we will build every possible car that we can somehow wiggle out of this factory, and the team is super focused on this. No? We're turning over backwards to get it done. A little bit of an uphill battle at the moment. Yeah.
Good. Are you going to hire new employees? What kinds of experts are you missing? Maren?
Yeah, of course. I think the whole industry is looking for some experienced IT specialists for coders, software coders, and this is where we are for what we are looking to. So highly welcome everybody with these competences.
Thanks. Can you tell us more about the new design language? What will be typical of Skoda cars? Some details.
Well, we wanted to do a teaser together with Thomas today to tell you what's coming. Obviously, we don't want to talk about more details, but if you ask what will be typical of Skoda cars, we will keep the elements of being simple, of being simply clever, of being human. So these are still cars for the family. These will be beautiful cars, but different. Yeah? But please have some patience, and we will be showing more details throughout the year. It will be a Skoda, but for the next level of the mobility.
What is your forecast from the financial point of view for 2022? It's the same crystal ball?
It's a big crystal ball, to be honest. I'm glad to know the next quarter. No, honestly, I think the Volkswagen Group has mentioned already that we, of course, try to steer within the levels in the group, and the same applies for Skoda. But as I mentioned earlier, especially also now the war in Ukraine and the effects of it, I think we can't predict at the minute. We saw the first one, which was the supply issues we had with wire harnesses. We will see a second one, which is actually coming from inflation, which is a huge impact on the industry when it comes to oil, when it comes to steel, when it comes to a lot of raw materials that we need for our car production. There's a next wave, I call it the second wave coming, and there will be a third wave, which is about the customers. How will they react when they open their invoices for heating, for petrol and so on? Are they still willing and can afford buying cars? So I think we see all these things coming up. My hope is that at least COVID hopefully doesn't destroy our results anymore. But as I said earlier, it will be tough. But I think we have a good crisis management. I think that's something we learned. We act quickly. We don't wait for someone to tell us what to do. We act, and we have great products, which is the key of success.
What major investments do you plan this year?
Let me say in general, we've obviously put even more cost discipline into the organization. We critically look at any money that we're spending, including investments, and we are not doing what is not ultimately necessary. That, of course, doesn't affect new models. No, we definitely invest in the future. Everything is going full steam ahead, but everything else we put on the back burner for this year. So we are now preparing, as I said, into the new models for the future, the new electric models, changing the factories into electric model capabilities. That is a huge effort that we have to go through. So it will keep us well under stress in the next couple of months to get it all under control and deliver a great result again at the end of this year.
Skoda is responsible for Volkswagen Group activities in Russia. How do you plan to operate under strict Western sanctions, which probably won't end with the war? Is there any future of your business in Russia?
Well, first of all, obviously, totally clear that we abide by all sanctions. No, we stick to this. We are in anything we do, we fully follow the sanctions. Our factories are halted in Russia. We're hoping that we go back to diplomacy. As I said earlier, this has to stop. It affects our business in many ways more than just in Russia. It's also obviously the supply chain that we heard about earlier. Difficult to say what will happen after that. So at the moment, we are paying our people. No, people are not, even though they're not working, they're paid. We're holding up to it, and we're in daily contact with them. Nothing more we can say at the moment, to be honest.
I appreciate you're going to announce more about Modern Solid later this year, John says from Auto Express. But can you give us an idea of the time frame when we will see the first products using it? I think it's a Fair question.
We appreciate you asking, but please stay tuned. We made the teaser, and we will be continuously coming with new information about this. I'm sure you will like it, but please give us some time, and you will see more.
And another question of China. What is the future of Skoda Auto in China? We already discussed this huge drop of sales and production. Martin?
Yeah, I would just say a couple of weeks ago, we woke up to a different world. Yeah, we see that the supply chains are disrupted. We see that globalization will probably change. There will be a lot of geopolitical changes. I think we will be looking at all the regions when the situation will come more to normal and see how we adjust our regional strategy. At this point, we are committed to China as much as we are committed to any other market where we are, but we will see how the situation goes. So we cannot make any conclusions at the moment. We have very good product portfolio, not only for Europe, but also for other regions. But let's see which way the world is headed, and then we will have to adjust our regional policies. But at this moment, we stay committed to all the markets where we are.
How does the option of automatic charging at Ionity look like? One where you do not need a card or an app, so when you just plug in and then Ionity knows that your car is in the system.
Yeah, we are working on that. I mean, at the moment, I'm quite happy that we have the app and that we have the power card to charge. I think we have very good solution to start with. So we also know there will be more and more charging stations. So in general, the customer experience will be improving, and we will be also improving our technology to meet the customer demands. So we are working on all these issues.
What's your opinion on CO2? Only the European Union focuses on it, yet China, the US and others don't. Does the EU really have its own environment? Aren't we tripping ourselves though with the EU liquidating the industry? Now we are seeing that that thanks to Russia, common sense shall prevail.
No, obviously Russia it doesn't make it easier, what's happening in that region. But one thing is clear, the auto industry will transform. Question is how fast will it transform and into electric mobility. We're all clear where it's heading. The question is how fast does it happen? And it's not true that only Europe is transforming. You see this effect also in the US and in China, the amount of electric vehicles that are coming through there. Plus, you see even emerging markets now focusing on electrification, for example, in India. So we completely believe in our plan in CO2 reduction. We have a clear path for our brand Skoda, and for us, this is not because of the pressure of the EU, it's because we believe in it.
And maybe to expand on this, I think it's a big chance for Europe. In between China on one hand side and the US on the other side, we have to say what are we standing for? Besides big philosophers and the past, it's also about the future. And I think if we really invest heavily in this industry with all the creativity of the Germans, the French, I mean, it's a diversity we're talking about at its best in Europe. I think that's a really big chance for the industry to step in and really push it. As a group Volkswagen, I think on the car sector we're doing this. That's a big push. And of course, I also want to see my daughters saying you did something great for the future, because people want mobility. But I think even Russia might even push it, because with petrol prices increasing and all the things, I don't think that anyone will make a break on this one. And I deliberately want it as well.
Mm-hmm.
How do you plan to supply cars in the CES countries after production in Russia has stopped? How many cars did you supply to these countries per year?
So we supplied to this region last year roughly 100,000 cars, and everything will depend on how soon the conflict will start and whether it's possible or not to resume production. If there is no production, then there is no supply to this region. That is very clear, because this region is supplied from these factories.
Are there any plans for more powerful versions of Octavia RS?
Another petrol head.
Same guy.
It's probably the same guy asking the same question. No,
no, it's a different name.
It's a different name. Okay,
maybe.
Alias. No.
There has been a lot of discussions about how to better differentiate the Skoda brand from the Volkswagen brand, especially by the Works Council in Germany. How do you see the role of Skoda in the future from this point of view? I think regarding Modern Solid, we have a quite good answer.
I think there is no question moving forward in terms of differentiation. We've got different brand values than our sister brand. We've got different looks. Yes, we share some technology, which is great for cost and for advancing technology fast. But I can assure you specifically with our new move that we're going to do, show you at the end of this year, there'll be no more questions in this regard. And I would say also from personal experience, this topic is more hyped than it actually is. We work very well with our brothers and sisters in the group.
So you heard the answer from the future head of the group volume brand, so that's the right answer. And I can only say that the Modern Solid, of course, is an answer to this question. The Skoda will be still a human, simply clever car with a value for money, but completely differentiate from Volkswagen. So that's the Modern Solid is the answer to this question.
Yeah. How do you manage the transformation of the automotive industry in terms of workforce?
Okay. Yeah, transformation, it's all about transformation. So first I would like to answer regarding to our education. So we founded our Institute 42 Prague, means we will there educate students in software coding. This is a cooperation with the 42 École in Paris. And we have here 140 students per year, and it takes 3 years, one course. So this is our answer for the request of software coding. At the second part, we have founded the Green Code. Maybe you can tell us something more about this. And of course, with our internal workforce, we had installed a lot of programs with our university as well as with our academy to transform the workforce to the e-mobility and to all the requests for the future. And maybe you would add something?
Yeah, I can add. I mean, first, as being in charge of IT, of course, digitalization is a big thing. So we made Prague 42, which is a great event. But also we made a new joint venture called Green Code, green for Skoda, of course, with up to 300 or even more IT specialists, where we also get in touch with people who are really coding, right? And getting also different mentality, culture into the company. That's a great move. But overall, I think our job as a traditional car manufacturer is to make people eager of the future. As I said earlier, e-mobility, great thing, so let's go into it. Digitalization, I believe we have so much talent here. We're just about to make a gap analysis of all our employees in this company to see, okay, who's eager on even working today in production on IT development, and you will find a lot of people out there. So it's not always to search for the right one outside. We need to transform ourselves, like I do every day. I say last 45 years, you got 50-60% of the presentation are given on topics which you haven't seen before. So from the board level down to the people, I think transformation goes with enthusiasm. So really looking eager on it. And I met so many people here in Czech Republic, but also in India and Russia and Germany, wherever I go, that are joining in and say, okay, I can't leave all my old stuff, but I have to reduce it and concentrate, focus. But looking forward to go into those new areas, and people in culture is doing here also a great job together with our unions as well to open the space and let it go. So it's a tough job, but I think something we really have to look at with pride as well.
How do you plan to manage the rising cost of raw materials regarding the situation in the Ukraine, for example, those for EV batteries?
Yes, so at the moment we are in touch with all of our partners, and which means at the end of the day with our first tier and also our second tier partners, which are affected by all these things and all the increases and also shortages of raw material. And we have several issues which we are doing. So we are hedging raw materials. We have long-term contracts with several partners from different areas of the world to balance also in this case the risks, and it's also part of the daily work of the task forces we have for the shortages at the moment to balance also the supplies and the costs of this issue. So this we are doing together with the whole group and with several teams in the whole group and with our partners. At the moment, I would say we are all affected by that, and we are taking this extremely serious, but at the moment, the group is handling this. And but in the upcoming months, it will be really a tough issue for all of us, for us ourselves, but also we are together with our partners in this issue.
When will the ENIAC coupe be delivered for the first time? Are there any differences between national markets?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, as you probably know, the first model that was hit by the supplies, or lack of supplies of cable from Ukraine, was the ENIAC model. So at the moment, we are not able to produce ENIAC coupe. We are working very hard on alternative solutions, and depending on which kind of cables we will get, we will be supplying the models that we can produce. I hope that the solution will come in several weeks, and then we will start delivering based on availability of the cars that we are producing.
What do you think about the idea to bring the supply chain closer to the assembly line?
First of all, I would say, as we pointed it out, we have a high localization rate everywhere where we are producing, and most of our things are very close to our factories, depending on technology. So, for example, coming to the semiconductors, some semiconductor technologies are, for example, not located in Europe. So, due to historical issues, then you are getting this from longer distances. Most of our things we are getting in a very close loop, and I think you also saw some of us about circular economy and sustainability. We are speaking here about very long-term partners from us, which are very close to our factories here, only in a circle of 100, 200 or 300 kilometers around us. And we should also not forget, again, with deepest respect to our colleagues, Ukraine is also, from our side, a part of Europe, and we are producing this nearby. Could be interrupted, but we are staying to first near and very short distance areas with our suppliers for the factories. And on the other side, we are staying to the development of closed loops for the sustainability for the future.
Carsten, you can keep the microphone because next one is definitely for you. What is the situation with semiconductors? How does it look like until the end of the year? Do you have enough chips then?
Yeah, I think one topic. I think when you are looking for the semiconductors, this is more or less affected 2020 by the coronavirus and the shutdown we have in a lot of shops, dealerships, where, let me say, we lose more or less in the whole automotive industry 15 million cars around the world. We are recovered roughly 7 up to 8 million cars with the strong support of all which are in the supply chain in the last year. We expect that another 7-8 million cars of this will be recovered this year. So what we see is, and this is not a signal which is coming from us, this is a signal which is coming from the semiconductor industry, from our partners globally. They see really that this situation is, let me say, getting much more better in the second half of this year, especially in the beginning of 2023. But this means also for us that we have a high pressure to secure our supply in this year and in the, I would say, first period of the 2023 next year. So this will be a tough time. And this is also the topic why we prepared a whole team for that in the whole group, working together with our partners to handle this in the right way. Because we are expecting that, let me say, all interruptions will not end until mid of 2023. But clear to say this, we are expecting that it's getting better, a huge step forward in the second half of this year.
Your sales in Spain increased 19.2% year on year. Did you expect this growth? Do you think it will be similar this year? Question from Spain.
Yes. Very good observation. You are aware that Skoda is very strong in countries like Germany, Austria or Switzerland, but rather weak in Southern Europe. And last year we launched a special offensive on Southern Europe, and I'm very happy to say that we grew our market share in Spain, also in France, and if we had more cars, we would deliver much bigger growth, and we will focus in the future on Spain, France and Italy. We see that with the new emotional models, Skoda is becoming successful also in this important part of Europe, and we will continue our growth plan in Southern Europe in the future.
So we are coming to slightly to the end of the Q&A session. Maybe one last one. What is the main strategic expectation posed on suppliers within the next level Skoda strategy? Could you define such a supplier?
Very important questions, and thanks for that. First of all, what we see in the future, and I think you see this also in the last 2.5 years, the situation in which we are and also what happens in the world is more and more asymmetric. So you cannot count on what happened tomorrow, and you have to be sure that you have a flexible network and also flexible and engaged partners to handle this. So first of all, it's not only a question about our partners, our suppliers, it's a question of all of us in the network to come closer together, to improve the communication and also to get more speed in the development, because in the future, speed is getting much more important than, for example, scale, to bring more new products to the market and oriented to the customer demands. So if you ask me for our partners, but the same question is also going to our own organization, we have to be stepping much more closer together, much more open, much more discussions over the topics we have and which, let me say, which moves us. And we are getting with this close cooperation to more speed and also to more improvements and innovations in this circular economy for the future for our customers. And this is the most important target for us.
Carsten, thanks. Yeah, I would like to thank the colleagues from the board here for answering so many questions.
Team is everything.
Yeah, dear media guests, that was the annual press conference of Skoda Auto in 2022. Thanks for joining us today. I wish you all a nice day, stay healthy, and see you next time.